Welcome Vibe Tribe. This is a mobility flow, some of my favorite mobility drills that we're just going to throw at you so that you can mobilize on your own. Memorize this sequence and you can use this in place of any of the mobility drills unless it's specifically meant for a particular class. Let's get started. We're working our way from the top to the bottom. So this is based on a hydrocephalic principle, which we will talk about as we go, starting with the neck, shoulders relaxed down the back, fingers interlocked, and we begin. Just gonna look to your left, right, and I'm just going back and forth. We are gonna be doing this for 30 seconds. Can be pretty dry, so imagine like you're trying to look behind your shoulder, see what's going on back there. If you're a little bit tight, make sure that you relax the shoulders and breathe into any tension that you might have. For 3, 2, 1, keep the party going, drop the chin down, look up. 30 seconds here. Now here at Vibe Yoga and Fitness, we like to focus on technique. So as you lift the chin up, think of reaching your cheekbones to the ceiling so that there's a feeling of lengthening. So cheekbones to ceiling, back of the neck long, feeling where you have any tension or tightness for 3, 2, and then dropping side to side. So drop your right cheek and then drop your left cheek. Cheeks on the face. You're going for 30 seconds. Again, trying to find the nuance even in this little stretch. As you drop your left cheek, drop the opposite shoulder. Drop your right cheek, drop the left shoulder. So you're just going back and forth, looking for maximum leverage for 3, 2, and you're gonna slide side to side, the Egyptian. So you can imagine that the back of your neck is itchy and you're trying to scratch it from side to side. I'm sending my cheek to the opposite wall, keeping the shoulders relatively still, concentrating slightly. You get about 10 seconds. Feels really good on the cervical, creating lubrication in your cervical vertebrae. Last one, forward, back, forward, back. I'll turn profile so you can see, but I'm just sending the chin forward, drawing it all the way back. Just like in your push-up, you want your jaw back into your body. You can think of jaw jutting forward, jaw jutting back. 10 seconds to go. Still keeping my shoulders relaxed. In class, people can never do this without giggling. For 3, 2, and then we do an easy roll side to side. 30 seconds. Putting everything that we did technique-wise into this little movement. So I know as I drop it, I'm gonna send the opposite shoulder down. Think of sending the cheek up, lengthening the back of the neck. Neck is nice and thoroughly mobilizing. And then you know what might be coming. We're gonna put the technique together and do a big roll. You're gonna go towards your left shoulder all the way around. So I'm not just dumping into the back of my neck. I'm thinking of lifting my cheek, dropping my shoulder, sending the chin to the ceiling, rolling to the other side, lengthening the back of the neck. This is so good to do because after the age of 25, you stop producing your own synovial fluid. And if you don't do it, as they say, you lose it. Other directions are going towards your left shoulder, to your right. Start by finding the groove. So I think of dropping opposite shoulder, looking towards ceiling. We're going to make our way from the neck to the shoulders, keeping the feet still, using our body to release any tension. Finish in the center. Thumbs up to yourself. So you're going to draw your shoulders up to the ears and then down to the hips. Ears to hips. You might hear some clicking and some clacking. I am doing a little bit of an undulation, or a roll if you will, all the way to the ears, all the way down, rolling through. for 3, 2, and then reverse direction, forward, and then down. So I'm thinking of coming all the way to the ears, sending the shoulders forward and all the way down. Really would like for you to over-articulate and over-exaggerate this movement so that way you get the most out of it, and your body is going to thank you by feeling really good after you're done doing all this. For 3, 2, 1, let's go right to the elbows. So you're going to have a thumbs up. You're going to rotate, flex, and then extend. Rotation, flexion, extension. Imagine staying in a cylinder of of mobility. You get about 10 seconds to go. I'm keeping the circle relatively small. And this is just going to be one mobility flow in a series of mobility flows. And on the last one, hands come right to the hips. Easy as, right? Just make a big circle. 30 seconds, and I'm trying to send my hips to the side, to the front, to the side, to the back. So push your hips to your right, almost over the ankle, over the side of the foot, rolling all the way around. Thinking of pressing the hips back against the wall, doing that dance, and then reverse direction, other way. I don't know if they call this the Tootsie Roll. Is this the Tootsie Roll? No, you are just mobilizing your hips. This is a good one to do too. So not only should you do yoga, but you should do circular movements, and I'm coming up on one that I really, really like before we add on to the mix. Make sure you go the opposite direction, and feet relatively wide, Tai Chi knees. You're going to bend your left knee, drift over, so transfer your weight over to your left leg, and then rotate out. Transfer over to your right leg, rotate out. So I'm keeping it staccato at first. Transfer, rotate, shift, rotate, transfer, shift, rotate. So your left leg will straighten, right knee will bend. And then once you have it, then you just smooth it out. And this is a great one because you feel like you get right into the hips. Internal and external feels good. Go to your own range of motion because we're about to reverse the direction in 3, 2, other way. So now you're going to transfer your weight over to your right, rotate inside. So this one's easy to do. You're going to transfer, rotate inside, transfer, rotate inside, shift, transfer, almost like a lateral lunge, rotation. Once you have that, then you just smooth it out. And now my upper body can kind of track. We're going to have 2 more. And in the next series, we're going to add on from this. But this one's really nice. That's 3, 2, 1. Feet together, hands on the knees. Not too much pressure, but enough that you can feel it, and then just roll. So again, this can be really dry if you let it. But if you really start to think about the mobility of the knees and how cool they are, and how it can do a 360 motion. So you're sending fluid right into the knee joint. They used to think it was a ball and socket, but now they realize it's actually a joint, and sending a little bit of pressure, reverse direction, other way. So I'm purposely trying to find the range of motion and feeling where I might be tight, because it's easy to phone this in, but you want to send love to your body, power, strength from your hands into your knees, and thank them for what they do. For 3, 2, 1. Finishing with the ankles. You're going to do a big circle, about 30 seconds. So again, this one, it's actually hard to do because it's easy just to do this, but then you really don't get into the joint. So what I'm actively trying to do is really make a big circle, inside, forward, outside, back. You're going to reverse direction, so now you're going out. Now we're going to reverse and go in. So roll to the inside, rolling through the feet, playing with the ball of the foot, finding where I need to send some mobility to. And send some love to your ankles. They do quite a bit. Normally I would do this with my shoes off, but what if you're going to do a functional class and you got to get to work, your shoes will be on. 3, 2, right leg. Start with going to the outside. You might find one leg is a little more challenging to connect to, so take your time. And that could be because you might have some issues in the tissues, or one knee, one hip, a toe might be a little more stuck. You got about 15 seconds. This is directly affecting the myofascia system of the body. About 5 seconds. And the fascia system of the body, reverse direction inside, it's more like a giant spider web. If you're afraid of spiders, I'm sorry. Or like an Angora sweater. It's like an Angora sweater, covers everything. And if you pull on one piece of the myofascial system or network, it'll pull everything else. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. You get about 5, really rotating. 4, 3, 2, last one. We'll finish with one that we're going to start with next time, but that's a good little one. You had your neck. We did some shoulders, did some hips, knees, and feet. And now we're going to do one that's a little more fluid. So that was more static mobility. This is more fluid. So you're going to start with your left arm. You're going to send your left shoulder forward, your elbow, and then your wrist. And then other side, you're going to send the right shoulder, elbow, wrist. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Keep going. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. So I'm going slow. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. If you got to break it down like that, break it down like that. I'll rotate. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Once you have it, then you can just smooth it out. And now I'm trying to find a wave-like effect. So making sure that the sequence, if I were to look at from the side, it would look very cause and effect. Be like, oh, I see what's happening. The body's rotating, the shoulder's going, and it looks pretty fluid. For 3, 2, last one. So an example of the myofascial network before we let you go on your little short mobility series is imagine that you feel something in your hip, and you're going to see it on my shirt, hopefully. But you feel something in your hip, so your myofascial network is like a spidery web. It should be nice and cushiony and springy, but when it gets dry or not mobile, or you stop moving, then it starts to develop cobwebs, and those cobwebs harden, and that's where you're going to start to feel a lack of mobility or restriction of movement, which is no bueno. So imagine that you feel something in your hip. Imagine you feel something in your hip, but watch what it does. Right? So this is the hip, but I'm really going to feel it in the shoulder first. I'm not going to feel it in my hip right away because this is where it's going to be the tightest. I'm going to feel it in my shoulder, and I'm going to think I have a shoulder issue, when reality is my hip. And then if I go over here to my hip, I might notice pulling at my knee, which is making me think it's my hip, which is making me think it's my shoulder. And then go even further, it could be your ankle, and you're pulling at your ankles, pulling your knee, so on and so forth. Generally though, it is going to be the feeling of you might think it's your hip, but it's really your knee. Or you think it's your shoulder, but it's really your back. So most times the site is not the source. The source, just like anything else in this life, you got to investigate, find out what's really going on. So I hope that helped. That was your first mobility series coming your way. Thank you so much, and namaste.